This is the scariest monster ever. Unsuspecting workers just dug him out of the ground and dug him out. Looking into the center of the ice, the huge exposed tentacles, the crowd unanimously decided that this was a treasure, and so they continued to dig deeper into the ground. Soon after, a hole about 1,000 meters deep, and there it was. But to their surprise, there was no treasure to be found. Just as the group was lost in thought, a low, hissing sound came from behind them. When the men looked back, all they saw were his colleagues who had been killed. At the same time, a village not far away, to celebrate the coming Christmas, was holding its annual hunting competition. Watching the elk slowly approaching from a distance, the men are ready to hunt. But soon the men realize that something is wrong. In previous years, the herd had been in large groups. This year, there were only two. As they moved deeper into the mountains, they saw the carcasses of elk all over the place. Judging by the wounds, it seems to have been bitten by something. Looking at the torn wire mesh, the men decided that it must have come from the mountain. So they rushed up the hill. They wanted an explanation, but by the time they arrived, the huge factory building was empty. Only a few mysterious drawings were left behind, and a hole in the ground. The men had no luck in their search. They had to dig traps around and stick, all sharpened into weapons, and stuck them neatly in the earth. And then he found a tree branch to cover the hole, under the perfect cover of snow. This was the end of the story. Of course, it was not possible to do without second brother as bait. After all this is done, all that was left was to wait. A few days later, my son looked out of the window and saw the footprints. He knew that the prey had taken the bait. He rushed to call his father. He wanted to see what the creature really looked like. Frightened, the two slowly made their way to the trap, but a quick look revealed only a few feathers. Just when the man thought it was a bird, a hand in the hole was exposed at that moment. Traps are a big no-no. In a panic, the bear rushed his son back. With the help of his friend, the two men tried to destroy the evidence, but just then, they found the man's ID on his person. They discovered that the old man with white hair was hundreds of years old. What's even more bizarre is that the old man, who was already dead, had woken up at this moment. At the same time, strange things were happening in the town, were happening one after another. First, the sacks in the warehouse disappeared, and then, all the hair dryers and children were also missing. At this point, the attentive young man noticed that this strange old man was the legendary evil Father Christmas. Terrified, the men tied him up in chains, but little did they know, it had only just begun.